Hi, welcome to Talk About the Passion, episode 11. Not bad, right? How are you doing? It's the middle of December. Your stress level's probably through the fucking roof at this point. The weather's got you down. It's all fucking dirty. Snow everywhere, at least here in New England. Gets dark at like noon. You know the drill. Well, I'm here to tell you everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. No, I'm kidding. It's not. So a couple of things. When I initially started this podcast, my idea was to always have, a few ready to go, so I'd always have something to post each week. A daunting task, for sure, but that was my idea. And for a guy who rarely goes out anymore and lives sort of out of the way, at least for people I'm friends with, this would also maybe help me get out of that shell and be more social and active. For the most part, it's done that. I have to admit, though, contacting people I don't know is always a challenge for me. As you know, you can't really read tone in text messages or emails, and so I always assume I'm bugging someone during some of these exchanges. This is, 99% of the time never the case. But that's my thing to deal with. And as I go along, I learn the best way to kind of go about putting all these episodes together. As it is right now, though, I only have 2 episodes done. The one you're listening to now, and then another one with my friend Kevin Cafferty, which will be the first one I post in January of 2018. I have a couple of tentative ones set up, but nothing scheduled in stone yet. So, and again, if you'd like to be on here or know someone who should, get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook.com, TATP Podcast. I'm on the Podbean at talkaboutthepassion.podbean.com. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff. And I just set up a Twitter account, but I haven't really done anything with that yet. So I was going to do an Instagram account, but that doesn't really seem to make much sense since this is pretty much an audio-centric medium. Does it make sense? I don't think it does. Maybe I'd post pictures of me and my guests or something. Maybe at some point. The idea now, though, is to just get a bunch of interviews set up and go into the new year locked and loaded. And yeah, did I really just say that? Locked and loaded. So anyway, my guest today is a friend of mine I've known since the early 90s, Breaux Silcio. We played in a band together with Gretchen Shea, who I talked to in the episode Red Shoes, episode 7. We were in a band with her called Black Barbie for a brief period. I was in that band for a brief period. And then him and I played in a band called Presley for probably about a decade. And that's actually the music you hear on this podcast. The intro music that fades in and out, and then the outro music is Presley. And you can find our stuff on Bandcamp. I think it's literally just presley.bandcamp.com. And if you look for the song Vodka and Orange Juice, that's the intro music. But enough about my bullshit. The one rule I had for myself on these podcasts is to try not to inject myself too much into them. I'm attempting to curate a list of cool people who I think are, interesting with good stories and, documenting how they got to where they are now creatively or just, their life in general. But with the interviews, with people who I would, at least one time in my life consider like a really close friend, like Peter Beavergall, Gretchen, and then Breaux here. It's hard not to inject myself since a lot of what we talk about involves situations that I was involved in. And that's not to say the other guests aren't good friends of mine now, but these 3 particular people I've known for much longer. So this episode is a little bit about my old band Presley, which we talk about sort of near the end. But most of the episodes, Breaux's story growing up in Louisiana, moving to Massachusetts, and eventually, finding his way through a lot of cool stops musically. He's an interesting cat, and I'm going to start saying that word, cat. Call guys cat. I think I'm at that point now. I do a lot of things like old guys like me do, so yeah, I'm gonna start saying that, I think. and Bro's pretty smart and dude, and he has cat, and has an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of stuff in music as well as outside of music, like religion and history and stuff like that. But we're not going to get into any of that stuff. But I'll tell you what we do get into on this episode. Plenty of Rush, plenty of Sabbath, a little Kiss, and then a good amount of 90s death metal, and this one's another really long one, so I'm going to cut this short. Thanks again for listening to my podcast. I've been flattered at some of the comments and messages I've been getting, so yeah, thanks for that. And I hope to bring some great stuff in the new year. And also, if someone can get me Paul Stanley's contact info, I slid into his Instagram DMs the other night. He hasn't really replied, so yeah. Anyway, thanks. Here's Breaux Silcio and I in Rentham, Mass. Here shooting the shit. Thanks. All right, I'm here with my friend Breaux Silcio, who I met in 1994, maybe, at Salem State College.
Yeah, I think it's 94, early 94.
Yeah.
Wait, did I know you before I joined Black Barbie?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would have been...
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that would have been early 94.
Yeah.
Because I started Salem in the fall of 93. And I didn't get involved in a radio station until like my second semester. So it would have been, would have been, early 94.
Yeah. All right. We'll get to the 90s. But you were born in Louisiana?
Yeah. I was born in a city, I guess. A couple cities outside of New Orleans called Chalmette, Louisiana, which... a lot of those, actually, surprisingly, a couple of those I Hate God dudes are from that area.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
The St. Bernard, the parish, they call it.
Yeah.
If you're from the parish.
Yeah.
Like when I met Joey Lacaze years ago, and Brian Patton from I Hate God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, I'm friends with my friend Al Hodge, and they all know Al.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I'm from Chalmette. And they're like, you're from the parish. Like that. Okay. That's where they, so, yeah. And they all cut their teeth playing local shows in Araby, which is like, goes Chalmette, Araby, and then New Orleans.
Oh, all right. So. Okay. And did you have, I know I've met your Uncle Leon, who we went and saw Rush with, but did you have, like, family members or friends that kind of steered you into certain types of music or anything like that?
I'm an only child, and I was... My Uncle Leon, his influence would come later.
Yeah.
I think early on, it would have been my dad.
Yeah.
My mom did... I don't think my mom ever listened to, like, a record.
Yeah, yeah.
Or a tape or what. I don't think so.
Right.
No recollection of my mom listening to music. My dad, on the other hand, was like a hippie.
Yeah.
Drove an El Camino, had long hair, went to trade school, and and he loved Black Sabbath. So and Kiss and whatever, like, heavy classic rock was going on in the 70s. He's also a huge country guy, and he loves Southern rock. But my earliest memories, probably around like 6.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were already divorced by that time, so going to my dad's every other weekend. My dad had one of those those classic kind of 70s, 80s stereos.
Oh, that
had the glass door, had the turntable on top, 2 cassette decks, the receiver and a big-ass speakers. Yeah. And in the bottom was like a vinyl rack.
Put all the records.
Yeah. So he would have he had like Mark Don and Mel, the best of Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah, yeah.
He had Kiss Destroyer, which was like one of my earliest memories is is not even really hearing Kiss, but
Right.
looking at that cover. And that cover was like the scariest
right.
cover for 6 years old. They're like trudging up the mountain with the fires, cities burning in the back. And my dad had a bunch of 8-tracks, and on one of the 8-tracks was Paranoid.
Yeah.
And another cover that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. It's like a samurai guy, but it's like all
he's tripping
out and
tripping balls.
And my and my dad would play Iron Man. Yeah. Even though my dad's favorite song of all time is Fairies Wear Boots.
Yeah.
Which is a creepy
That's a good
song.
one to have as a favorite song.
Yeah. And but Iron Man. So the beginning of Iron Man would scare the shit out of me.
Me too.
And probably still does.
Yeah.
You know.
They scared me as a kid. Like I remember my brother had the We Sold Our Soul album.
Yeah.
And the picture in the middle is like a woman in a coffin. And
right. Yeah.
Run out of the room.
Yeah, they were a scary band. Like, and for some reason, like my dad had a Black Oak, Arkansas record.
Yeah.
And that main dude who played like the washboard, he and then my dad also had like Bark at the Moon on tape or something. And it was and those pictures, even at a young age, they didn't scare me. They looked more goofy to me.
Right.
But for some reason, like the Sabbath records, especially Paranoid, which is the one my dad had, and then seeing like maybe the first, but like there was always a seriousness about Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
That was more scary to me.
Yeah.
And they weren't. It didn't look goofy at all.
Yeah.
You know, Kiss, you know, when you grow up, you realize they're goofy as shit.
Right.
But at that time, especially the Destroyer album cover it's a scary album cover.
Yeah.
They don't look comical.
Right.
Even though they have the makeup, that painting is
it's scary.
It's scary. The lines, they look serious. Gene looks evil.
Yeah.
You know?
They just destroyed that city.
Yeah, that's what I would. So I would like look at this cover. You know, I was a young kid sitting on the floor in front of my dad's stereo while there's like Leonard Skinner song playing or something. But I'd be like, or he had like a Jefferson Airplane record too, which Jefferson Airplane, another band that at that age, for some weird reason, the name and the serialistic pillow cut, like it scared me.
Yeah.
Jefferson Airplane. Like
just,
I didn't know any of their songs.
Yeah.
I didn't have like, I know some people are like, oh, well, I loved this music. I loved this band when I was 8 years old. Right. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't love a band.
I just liked music.
I liked what was on MTV.
Yeah.
I liked what was on, you know, what my dad would play me. So I grew up listening to Harry Chapin and Hank Williams and Hendrix and Springsteen and you know that stuff.
Yeah.
So early on, my dad was like he was the one. My dad plays harmonica like John Popper. Like sits in with bands. He rips. Nice. I bought him a whole set of harmonicas one year for his birthday. Nice. He only plays the C. He just took the C out.
Right.
You know, but so he was the one that had records.
Yeah.
Music was always on in the car.
Yeah.
He would play along the songs on his harmonica. I had a crappy acoustic guitar when I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And he could play by ear. He would be like, oh, just, you know?
Yeah.
He couldn't read or anything.
Right.
But he could figure it out. He had an ear for notes and melodies. So that was probably like where I got music from. If I never had that, I don't know. I probably would never.
Yeah.
You know, my mom, I don't think I ever heard her listen to music.
Yeah. And then, so when did you move up to Massachusetts?
All right. So I moved here in like 88.
Yeah.
88, that August I just turned right before I turned 13.
Okay.
So even up to that point, like I didn't have, I'm kind of I guess, I don't know, maybe not, but I'm kind of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
In terms of like music. I liked music.
Yeah.
I always liked music. I didn't play drums at that time.
Yeah.
I had took guitar lessons for 3 years and hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
I always knew I wanted to maybe be in a band because I saw the Van Halen video for Jump when I was like 9.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
This is but there was nothing going on in my life that would have even alluded to me even doing that.
Yeah.
It you know, like
possible.
Like, how am I going to play in a band? I don't play anything.
Right.
I know 3 chords on the guitar that I hate.
Right.
And I'm going to start playing the clarinet in like 3 weeks because I got to take a music class.
Right.
In 8th grade.
Right.
So I move up here 13 and I moved to Danvers.
Yeah.
So, I don't know anyone. It's, I start school and I have the typical transplant experience.
Yeah.
Like, I start school and
people start giving you shit.
Yeah, I'm short. So first off, I'm not short now, but in 8th grade I was 4'11".
Right.
Which is very small.
Yeah.
I have the thickest New Orleans accent, so not even like Southern, because I didn't sound like a hick. It's different. It's like a different drawl.
Yeah.
And I was like a skateboarder, so I looked, and that's no one skated up here. At least when I moved up here,
right?
No, skateboarding was, at least I didn't see any.
Yeah.
Skateboarding going on in Danvers in 1988.
Right.
So I had like a couple of friends that I had made, but really I just went to school every day and got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
So that was my life for, and then so what happened too is we didn't have our own place for like the first semester of my 8th grade year. We lived with my aunt, who now lives in the South again. She moved back years and years ago. So I didn't have that many friends. I couple people in the neighborhood I would talk to, but no one I was hanging out with.
Right.
And then it got cold, and the winter came.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't know about skiing.
Right.
I don't know about ice skating. I don't know what hockey is. I don't know what snowboarding is, if even snowboarding was a thing in 88.
At that point, I don't even.
So I'm sitting in the finished basement where we were living.
Yeah.
On the couch watching TV, and I think this may have been like the first time like anything kind of musical clicked with me.
Yeah.
I look over on the floor and I see the clarinet that I was playing, quote unquote, playing in the 8th grade band.
Right.
Literally, which meant I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So I took it out.
Yeah.
Put it together, set up there's like a fingering chart and a piece of music that we were supposed to learn.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, maybe I'm the only one who, I don't think everybody's like this, but I'm like, I was like really disciplined. I was like, I need to learn. And I literally the only thing guitar ever taught me was how to read music.
Yeah.
I could read.
Okay.
So what I did is I would write the note write the letter of the note above the note on the music. Mm-hmm. So it'd be like A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. Then I would go, okay, first note, A. Look at the fingering chart.
Right.
A. Doot. Next note, E.
Right.
Look at the fingering chart. E. Doot. Literally.
Yeah.
Just do that
over and over.
Over a whole song.
Yeah.
And then go back. Now, do like imagine doing that like every day, like day after day after day. I did it.
Yeah.
And I actually started learning like how to play the clarinet.
Yeah.
and I actually loved it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I could do it by myself. It didn't require,
right.
Anybody else. And I didn't have any friends, and my mom worked, and everybody worked, and I was the only child. There was my aunt hadn't had kids yet.
Right.
Or Jory would come I think Jory would come a year, not even a year. She would come very soon after, but at that time I had
right.
nobody, and then we moved.
Yeah.
To got our own place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of when and then I met my friend Pete Lockhart.
Yeah.
Who I'm still friends with today.
Yeah.
And he played me Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
From Metallica.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
So that's it may have been that. I think it could have been his older brother had CDs.
Right.
So I think it was Master Puppets. Right. It was definitely I think Injustice was even out too. So it would have been the first four, and then I think Rust in Peace was in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it was right around that time.
Yeah.
And that was the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Played me Master of Puppets and boom.
Yeah.
So it took me meeting a friend who had an older brother.
Right, right.
Even though he was only a year older than me.
Yeah, yeah.
He had older sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was three older sisters.
Right.
So that's kind of where it starts. So about 13 and a half is where I find my muse, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
I still don't, mind you, I still don't play drums at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
That's drums, even though Leon would be the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
And it would really be him introducing me to Rush, which, is the kind of the Metallica. I would say the two most important bands in my musical development is Metallica.
Yeah.
And then Rush.
Yeah.
And everything else is just stems from that.
Did Metallica put you into with all the death metal and stuff that you eventually? Oh, that was more the 90s, but
death metal would come about the same period I would get into Rush.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit. Yeah, around the same. I would be late, maybe a little bit beforehand, because from about 13 and a half to about 14 and a half.
Yeah.
So about a year.
Yeah.
It would be just metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slayer and the big metal bands.
Ones,
I didn't have the means.
Right.
I didn't know how to get into Boston. I didn't go to shows. I didn't go to shows. Shows are I didn't go to shows until I was a senior in high school.
Right. When did that sound waves show up in
that's
Canvas?
the mid 90s.
Yeah.
That's 96. So
yeah.
I was already
a music guy by then.
Yeah, that was already nerding out.
Yeah.
By then.
Yeah.
I didn't know about zines.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to punk rock. I had no friends that listened to punk rock.
Right.
Hardcore the term didn't even exist in my lexicon, unless it was pornography. Hardcore didn't exist in my lexicon. I had no idea who Minor Threat were. I had no idea who.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know anything about Bad Brains. My Bad Brains for me wouldn't even. It would take a Nirvana video.
Right.
For Smells Like Teen Spirit for me to even know who the name Bad Brains were. Mm-hmm. I didn't even. Yeah, I loved the Beastie Boys early on. I saw the Beastie Boys in '86 on License to Ill Tour, but I wouldn't. I had no way of knowing. That those guys were influenced by.
Right.
I didn't have. There was no scene. I was not part of a scene. I had 5 friends who loved Metallica.
Yeah.
We'd sit around and I didn't even smoke weed at that time. I was just nerdy Southern kid who loved skateboarding but even though I didn't know any skater punk bands.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I read Thrasher. I had no idea. I loved Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica.
Yeah.
and Anthrax.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that. So then, probably about, I don't know, maybe a year later,
Yeah.
I would become friends with this kid on my bus
Yeah.
named Pat Doherty.
Okay.
Now, Pat was on some next level shit.
Yeah.
He was tape trading with people from Europe
Yeah.
and California
Yeah.
very early on.
Yeah.
So we're like in like 1990
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I was on the bus, headphones on, cassette Walkman, listening to probably And Justice for All,
Right.
you know, coming out of my headphones. He's like,
Right.
"What are you listening to?" He like leans over. He's like, "What are you listening to?" And I'm like, "Metallica." He's like, "Listen to this." Hands me Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness on cassette. Fuck if my like,
Yeah.
I was like, Metallica who?
Right.
Like, I was like, I need more of that. The next day he brought me Harmony Corruption from Napalm Death, Blessed Are the Sick by Morbid Angel,
Yeah.
Deicide's first album,
Yeah.
and maybe another like a Pestilence record, or
Right.
Creator Extreme Aggression, I know was like a huge one for me.
Yeah.
Coroner, like Punishment for Decadence, like and I was like, wait a minute. Death, maybe Death like Spiritual Healing.
Yeah.
Something, I think he may have also played me like Beneath the Remains by Sepultura.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what? There's other heavy bands that aren't Metallica, aren't, you know what I mean? And so that was like mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, okay. And I think that's like, I don't know, for me, I think that set the stage for my entire life of always, and it's not always about it's not always sonically, but it set the stage for me trying to always, I want extreme themes in music. Like,
right.
Someone can always be doing something extreme, whether it doesn't even have to be metal. Like,
right.
I love Godflesh. I
Right.
love, Naked City. I heard pretty early on because I had like the Grind Crusher compilation,
Right.
which had a Naked City. So
Yeah.
it's not about metal. It's
Right.
about, I wanted people mining extremities within music.
Yeah.
I loved, later on I'd get into low and codeine and
Right.
like the stripping all of the heavy sonic heaviness, but retaining that, that oppressive, I love it in my reggae. I love it in my rap. I love dub music. It's like mining that extreme.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like gets me to like the summer before I turn 15.
Yeah.
Which is when it all changes.
Yeah.
And so still up to this point, I don't play drums. I don't. I play clarinet in the high school band. I'm not very good. I'm taking lessons. I'm doing my thing. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't.
Yeah.
But I love metal.
Yeah.
And then I go and stay with my uncle for like 2 months.
Yeah.
In the summer before I turned 15 years old. And he picks me up from the airport. We're driving. He's like, "So, what do you been listening? What do you listen to?"
Yeah.
Typical, my uncle's what? I'm 42. I think my uncle's like 55. Like he's not that much older than me.
Right.
He's like maybe just 55. I think he's like 10, 12 years older than me. He's not that old.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you listening to?
Yeah.
What kind of music do you like?" And I go, "I like Metallica. I like Megadeth. I like Slayer. I like this." He goes, "That shit's garbage." He goes, "I'm going to play you the heaviest record you ever heard in your life."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What record's that?" He's like, "Rush 2112.
Yeah.
So we were sitting at a restaurant, and that's when Blockbuster used to sell music.
Yeah.
He's like, "You know what? My uncle had a CD player very early on. He paid $700 for it in 1984. Like he had, he went and bought it, and this is when CDs were cost like $20 or whatever, which was like a lot of money then.
Yeah.
And we went to Blockbuster. He bought 2112 on CD
for $17.99 probably or whatever.
Yeah, and drove. We went back to the house.
Yeah.
He finds his cassette 2112 and gives it to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I listened to another record for like 4 months.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knew every nook and cranny of that album.
Yeah.
And after that summer, I was like, I want to play drums.
Yeah.
That was like...
Yeah, the one
that was it. I think I wanted to play drums before that. Yeah. I don't think I ever wanted to be a guitar player. I enjoy playing guitar more now than I ever did then. But I think I may have went, I like the drums. I like the drums. But I never took any steps. My mom was not supportive. No, because she had to deal. She had post-traumatic stress disorder from the guitar thing.
Right.
She bought the guitar, spent all this money for 3 years, taking lessons. I never. Yeah, and then you just stuck with it.
Right.
Never. So I'm like, Mom, I want to play. I come back from New Orleans or Baton Rouge. My uncle lived in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I come back and I'm like, Mom, I want to play drums. Nope. No.
Yeah.
And then so I drop it.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Mom, I want to play. I want to play drums. Nope. And then typical of like a single mom, only child. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Teenager, my mom's like. My mom's like 35 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom's only 60.
Young. Yeah.
You know what I mean? My mom's like 35 years old. She has a 14, almost 50, she's like maybe like, no, she's probably like 38 now, but like whatever. She's got like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And she don't know what the fuck to do. So she has a friend who has kids who play drums.
Yeah.
She talks to the friend.
Yeah.
The friend's like, oh, you know what you do? Get him a pair of sticks.
Yeah.
Get him a practice pad.
Yeah.
And have him take lessons.
Right.
So my mom said, this is what I'll do. The guy, Tony Junta, or I think that's his name, whatever. Yeah. Guy gave lessons. He helped with the high school band drum section.
Okay.
Older guy, gave lessons at the school.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll get you a pair of drumsticks, get you a practice pad, and we'll get you lessons. If you stick with it for 6 months, we'll get you a drum set.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yep. I started taking lessons, and for the first 6 months, I literally would get home, come home from school, do my homework, sit on my bed with the practice pad, have a music stand with my stuff from lessons, whether it be like a rudiment book, learning rudiments. Yeah. I didn't have a drum set, so I only played kit when I'd give lessons, but I would actually sit with like tapping on my knees and like stomping on the floor, mimicking like beat patterns that were written out for me. Huh. And I would practice like all my stuff, and every day, like clockwork, every day. Yeah. I'd go home. I gotta practice. I'll come over after dinner. I gotta go home. I gotta practice.
Yeah,
I gotta practice. And that's what happened. And then 6 months later, I got my first drum set.
Yeah.
And then like 6 months after that, I started my first band.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you. So your first band was that? That wasn't One Less, was it?
No. Oh no. No. One Less would come much later. Yeah. My first band was, it was, we went through a bunch of names.
Yeah.
But it was like a thrash band.
Yeah.
And it featured, I was on drums.
Yeah.
And, okay, so there was like, I had some friends. Pat Doherty played bass.
Yeah.
Neil play guitar, sang. I played drums. We would all congregate in my basement because you hang out at the drummer's house. Congregate in my basement and literally just try to learn whatever we could. Learning covers. I was learning, we learned Metallica songs. And you got to remember, our heroes could play. It's not like we were trying to learn AC/DC songs.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to learn Rush songs.
Right.
I'm trying to learn Metallica songs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Iron Maiden became a thing.
Yeah.
I started getting in Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and Peace of Mind. Nico McBrain's work on those albums are
it's crazy.
Yeah. And those were my heroes. I'm not trying to play like Phil Rudd from AC/DC or, I'm listening to maybe at this point, I think I'm getting a little bit into Queensryche and, Scott Rockenfield. He did some, these guys could play.
Yeah.
And I got into Yes would come along. These were my heroes. Trying to figure out Heart of the Sunrise by Yes. And I don't even know shit, but I'm trying to in my own very primitive way comprehend what Bill Bruford's doing on Heart of the Sunrise. I still can't do what he's doing on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But you got to understand where my mindset is. That's where my mindset is. I don't know if it's I guess it would be the same for guitar people if they're trying to they love Satriani. They're trying to muddle through.
Right.
Imagine sitting there and I'm trying to muddle through La Villa Strangiato. There's no way to just sit down and play that song. Right. You got to muddle through.
Yeah.
Every kind of part. So I would just sit there and and you're just trying to figure it out. So that was me and my friends. Yeah. And it's funny, all of those people now, they all, for the most part, they're all fucking great.
Yeah. Pat,
One in particular, so I don't know how this Neil goes, I met a kid. He's a little younger than us by a couple years. Met a kid, lives in Danvers. Kid smokes on guitar. He wants to jam.
Yeah.
He wants to, couple. So we're talking maybe a year and a half of floundering around.
Right.
2 years maybe, 2 years of floundering around, just trying to learn, to get to a place where I can actually play something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learn, and I'm still taking lessons. I'm still practicing every day. I'm practicing what I'm learning in lessons, and I'm also trying to teach myself shit that I'm listening to.
Right.
I'd managed to get a double bass.
Yeah.
Not pedal.
Right.
Some kid I knew had an extra bass drum. Hey, can I have that?
Yeah.
And got a shitty pedal.
Yeah.
And just literally just trying to learning how to and at the end of that song, and it's just painstaking. I feel so bad for my mom. God, just every.
The plus side of this though is years later in Presley, if me or Arnie started playing a riff, Bro would know how to play the song immediately from years of probably.
Oh yeah. You just I mean that's you sacrifice shit, I guess. I know Arnie got into kind of playing bass later. In life.
Yeah.
You've always kind of played around, but you were serious in Lugnut.
Yeah.
And you were definitely serious in Presley.
Yeah.
But I was really serious in high school.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of years.
Yeah.
While a lot of my friends were out doing shit, when I emerged from the basement, I could actually play.
Yeah, definitely.
And so Neil goes, I met a kid a couple years younger than us. He rips. He rips. He wants to jam. That person is Ken Susi.
Oh yeah.
So Ken Susi from Unearth.
Yeah.
My first real band was with Ken Susi from Unearth.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And we had another kid, Anthony Zimmerman, who would go on to be in another big metal band called Hell Within. They never got as big as Unearth.
Yeah.
But they were right there,
kind
of in that scene. Unearth would go on to be huge, obviously. I didn't know Buzz. None of us knew Buzz at that time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't meet Buzz until .04 to Black Barbie.
Yeah, yeah.
Years. So through you and meeting Sean Ross and Tony Capuccio.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so going back, like that was my first band, and we were straight up thrash metal. We were straight up Slayer worship.
Right.
But Ken was
next level. Like,
yeah. He's also his brother, though.
Yeah.
He had an older brother. His brother was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
Who was like schooled in like shredder metal, like Satriani and
Malmsteen,
or
more metal, like
Paul Gilbert.
Yeah.
Like shredder music.
Yeah.
Instrumental, like Racer X, like it's like no, the rhythm section is no one gives a shit about the rhythm. It's all about what,
and it's something like at least me, I can't listen to that stuff.
No,
it's technically like now anyway. I mean,
no, I don't have any
as a
interest.
kid though. I remember like you would be like, wow.
Well, that's all it was for me. It was just like flex music, like like listen to this. Just like running arpeggios, just like up and down the neck at like lightning speed, like Yngwie Malmsteen, and you're just like, and then you're just like, holy shit, that's like, how does he fucking do that? And then now that I'm older and I have friends that can do that, you're like, you know what they do? You just sit in a room for
and just do that
15 hours a day, just do that,
and not learn how to write a fucking good song. Just learn how to
I always, at least. Which is why I gravitated towards, although I love progressive music.
Yeah.
It's why I never loved Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think they can write a freaking song.
Yeah.
At least my prog heroes, Genesis, King Crimson, Yes, and Rush, and then Camel later. But those four, especially Yes and Rush.
Yeah.
Those guys could write a fucking song.
Yeah.
Those guys had, Rush is like the third most selling albums of all time. Like you don't sell records without writing songs that people want to listen to.
Yeah. And it's funny because they like when I listen to Rush still, and I can still, they're one of the few bands where I can still listen to their. Like Tom Sawyer, I could still listen to that.
I love that album. I may have rebelled against that song at some point. I was like,
I probably did too. But when you listen to those songs now, you're like, this is such a catchy, like perfect song. And then like the guys in the musicianship. When
Tom Sawyer is probably one of the most recognizable songs in the history of recorded music.
Yeah,
or at least recorded like rock music.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That opening alone. You hear that, like, it's played 57 times a day across the world on classic rock radio stations. Like, it's, do you know what I mean? And, Rush was like one of the first concerts I ever went to, too. Yeah. Roll the Bones tour.
Yeah, usually most of these podcasts I've been asking. What was that your first show?
No, well, my mom took me to see the Beastie Boys and Run DMC in '86.
Yeah.
Because I loved, because they used to play Walk This Way on MTV, and I had License to Ill. And then I'd seen like Bryan Adams and Survivor when I was like young.
Nice.
But yeah, I say that Rush was the first. I went with my friends.
Yeah.
My mom didn't take me.
Yeah.
Me and my friends, we piled into another friend who was like a year older than his car. We all drove to Worcester.
Yeah.
It was like Rush 92, like that was like in my yearbook thing, Rush 92. Like that was one of the defining moments of my high school was my mom letting me go see Rush in Worcester by myself when I'm 15 years old. I don't even think I was 16 yet. I think it was like 92. I could have, I don't know the date, you know what I mean? Because I'm like a September baby, so like dates are like all weird. Because I could have been 15 if it was in like August. But I could have been 16 if it was in November. I think I may have been 60. But like, but yeah, 90. It was in 90. Rush 92. So, Roll the Bones tour. That was the most recent album.
Is that with Primus?
No. That was like Eric Johnson or something.
Yeah.
That's when they still had openers. I saw them like 3 times with openers.
Yeah,
one was
here.
Candlebox.
Yeah, I saw him with. The first time I saw him was actually. I meant to post that on Facebook the other day. Today was the anniversary of my.
The first time you saw Rush.
Yeah, because it was December 4th or something like that, 82. But it was Rory Gallagher. Irish,
that's fucking awesome.
And
that's awesome.
I think I saw them with Mr. Big maybe on like the Presto or Hold Your Fire.
I missed a Presto. I had a couple of friends that their first Rush show was Presto.
Yeah.
But I'd gotten into Rush. Roll the Bones would come out.
Yeah.
Within the 6 months, within that, like Roll the Bones, like Dreamline and Bravado were like early songs I tried learning to play from the most recent Rush album, and then not realizing that Roll the Bones is actually kind of a terrible record. I like it because I love every Rush album,
right?
But when you're ranking Rush albums, Roll the Bones is not not high.
Yeah. But going back to the band. So you played in a band with Ken Susi.
I did, yeah. So the first time I ever played a live show was in probably like 1992.
Yeah.
We played at the Escape Club.
Nice.
At Salisbury Beach.
Yeah. Which was like a pay-to-play type.
Which was a pay-to-play. We had to sell tickets. Yeah. And every band that night, it was their first show there.
Right.
I had one of the bands, this band Spoo, who would go on to do great things in the 90s. And then their main guy, Dan DeAngelis, who would go on to do some really cool stuff in like Harsh Noise and like, but we became friends that night. But that was the first show. It was, me on drums, Ken Susi on guitar, Anthony Zimmerman on guitar, and then one of Anthony's. We were ahead of the curve. We had a girl bass player in like 1992. Her name was Alana.
Yeah,
and I would run into her. Yeah, no. We're having inside jokes here on this thing that you can't see, but I would actually run into her years later when she would see Black Barbie play with Letters to Cleo at Salem State College. Funny. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
She would show up at the merch table and she's like, "Hey, do you remember me? My name's Alana. I used to play band." And I'm like, and she just saw me play in front of 2,000 people.
Yeah, that's funny.
But anyway, so we played. I think that band played like. We played 2 shows.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
I only have recollection of 2. Yeah. Maybe 3.
And what were you guys called?
Obliteration.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
It was. We changed the name.
Yeah.
We were. Yeah. We were like we did a cover of Seasons in the Abyss. Live.
Yeah. Nice.
Like. Which I actually look back on, I'm like, that's actually kind of
cool.
badass.
Yeah.
I'm covering a song off Seasons in the Abyss in like 1992. That record's only 2 years old. Yeah. I'm not pulling it off very well because I've only been playing drums for like a year and a half.
Yeah, you're not Dave Lombardo.
I'm not Dave Lombardo, who was, Seasons in the Abyss is like, I'm probably in the minority. It is one of my favorite albums of all time.
I love that.
I love Rain and Blood,
but
that's on another level. Like, that's on its own. Seasons in the Abyss for me is the best Slayer. Similar to Salt of Heaven, whatever. For me, it's Seasons. Like, I think every moment of that album is perfect.
It's a respectable.
It's also them like trying to Metallica set the bar really fucking high on Injustice for All and even on the Black Album. And I think Slayer were like, we can be the fastest band in the planet, but we need to write fucking songs.
Yeah, we can write good metal.
I mean, Megadeth, Dave Mustaine, I think he knew he could never outright Metallica.
Yeah.
So he just did Shredder. He just got Marty Friedman, who was playing with Paul Gilbert, doing Shredder rock, and was like, you know what? I can't outright Metallica, but I can play. Yeah. I'll outplay those people. So that's what I think Metallica did. But I think Slayer were kind of caught in the middle there. And I think Anthrax by that time was silly. Like they just got too goofy for me. After Among the Living, I just don't give 2 shits about about Anthrax until the John Bush years, which I actually love.
Yeah, I love that.
Because they just start writing songs, and they're like, all right, we're just going to be a metal band and write songs.
Right.
But yeah, so I think we played like 2 shows.
Yeah.
And they were good.
Yeah,
they were awesome. It was fun.
Yeah.
And just playing metal in high school. I mean, and this is when you go to any high school now. 57 kids in that high school have bands. They're probably signed. 57 kids they've signed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a different culture now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
These kids can just go on YouTube and be like, I want to learn how to do gravity blast beats right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I had to. How do I do a blast beat?
Right. You need to just kind of figure it out.
Listen to a Morbid Angel record and being like, try to differentiate what's a hi-hat and what's a snare drum and a kick drum. You know what I mean? You don't know.
Yeah.
You're trying the best you can.
Yeah,
You need to listen. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we did 2 like 2 shows and then we broke up.
Yeah.
And then I think Kenny and I started a death metal band.
Yeah.
Which lasted like 4 practices.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think that was and then by that time I had heard Biohazard.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, come on.
No, I know. I'm kidding. No,
Come
I know.
on,
We always talk about it.
dude. Urban Discipline.
No, I know. I love
fucking rips.
No, I know.
Dude.
I know. We always talk about it. I think the first 2.5 Biohazard albums are great.
Half of State of the World Address is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay. So I didn't play for a while.
Yeah.
For a while. I mean, I didn't play in a band for a while. At that time, I was still completely obsessed with drums. So I'm playing something.
Right.
Whether I'm just sitting in my mom's basement or at a friend's house, I'm playing. I'm not taking lessons anymore.
Right.
Because I would be graduating, I would stop taking lessons at some point. Because I felt, even though I don't, in hindsight, I was probably wrong, but I felt I had gotten everything out of lessons that I could get, which I completely disagree with now.
Right. Yeah.
I think lessons serve purposes.
Yeah,
they get you out of your own head.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about stuff that other people think is important.
Right.
Which forces you to say, oh, yeah, okay, maybe that's important. And then years later, Neil Peart would go back and take lessons, and that was like a mind fuck for all of us. Right. We were just like, whoa, Neil's playing traditional grip on Test for Echo, like the whole Test for Echo record, the whole tour, the whole Test for Echo tour.
Yeah.
He played the whole set, like traditional grip.
The guy I went to see the Proletariat a few weeks ago. That guy was playing traditional.
Oh, I think I may have seen that in a video you posted.
Yeah. When I posted a video and I was like, I'm gonna zoom in on that, but
so
anyway,
that's for another day.
Yeah.
But then I would meet Jay Moa.
Yeah.
Who was like into hardcore.
Yeah.
I didn't know what hardcore fucking was.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
I would meet Jay Moa and Keith Shiraz.
Yeah.
And
Biohazard
Keith. Would go to hardcore. So I started going to hardcore shows.
Hi, Keith.
Keith Shiraz. I saw Keith the other day.
He's a listener.
Oh, hi Keith. Love you, buddy. So I would meet that crew.
Yeah.
They liked hardcore.
Yeah.
I would go to a couple of hardcore shows. Spoo were a hardcore band. I would see like them. I would see like Bricklayer.
Yeah.
I would see like Dread.
Yeah. Greg.
Glenn.
Dread.
Yeah, and Greg.
Yeah.
And Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
And Redhead Ted.
Yeah.
And all those guys.
Yeah.
And I would through that meet Jay Mower.
Yeah.
And Jay had a band called Rise.
Yeah.
And another kid I went to school with, I knew from Danvers, Kevin Noons, he played drums.
Yeah.
But for some reason I don't know how it happened, but he didn't play. He ended up not playing drums for Rise.
Yeah.
And I get a call from Jay.
Yeah.
Asking me if I want to play drums in Rise.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. So I had my drums set up at my mom's house in the spare bedroom, and they would come over, and him and Frank and Keith wasn't in Rise at them. He would join right before we would do the demo,
Yeah,
Keith would join. That's when I would meet Keith.
Yeah.
Officially. And we would go with Bobcat Studios and record a demo tape.
Yeah.
And that was Rise. And I played played a handful of shows.
Yeah.
Not too many.
Yeah.
Handful of shows with Rise, all awesome shows. They were great. One was at Chapter 2 or the Escape Club. That was great. It was like play some other place, play like Sneakers and Lynn and Douglas Mascot put that show on, and it was like with all the Lynn hardcore bands, you know. Yeah. Then that, and now I'm in college, so I'm a freshman in college.
Yeah.
And I remember Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
He was hounding me daily to play drums for Black Barbie.
Yeah.
He didn't like Alex. He wanted to get rid of Alex. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in a band. I'm in this band Rise, and we're playing shows, and it's good. You know what I mean? Months. And he and then I remember like going home, getting a call on the phone from, before cell phones, to call my house.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's Jay saying, "Oh, we don't want you to play drums in Rise anymore. We want Shabo to play."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Shabo died recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I like Shabo. I was friends with him. I had no problem with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right." And then come to find out, they did I'd heard a recording they did with Shabo, and I was like, "Wow, Shabo's actually really good."
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." And then, but literally, he's like, and I hang up the phone, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not in the band anymore." Next day, "Hey Joe, you looking for a drummer still?"
Yeah, yeah.
Then now the rest. Like now you kind of that's where you come in, because I joined.
Yeah, because
Barbie.
I had joined Black Barbie, and Alex. I don't even think I played a show. Or maybe we did. We
played a show with Alex.
Did I?
My first performance ever with Black Barbie was when we did the WMWM. We did a recording.
Okay.
In studio.
Okay.
My first actual show was Bleachers.
Okay. So you didn't play that Rat show with us, did you?
No.
All right. So that was Alex. All right.
That was Alex.
All right. So I think I just played one show with him, and then we played. I probably played 4 or 5 shows with you guys. I don't think I played that many. And then
you played the Bleacher show.
Yeah.
You played the Battle of the Bands performances.
Yeah.
Because we did all those runs, and then we ended up winning.
Yeah.
And then playing with like Redfall and Calm.
Yeah.
We're on at that place in
EJ's,
Salem.
which is now the Gulu or whatever.
Well, no, now it's like Bistro 118 or whatever. It's right there on the corner. Usually a Chinese food restaurant. But anyway,
right.
Yeah.
And then we had a situation.
Then the situation happened, and then you didn't show up to that show at the Causeway. I remember that. Yeah. I think like someone tried to get a hold of you on like a payphone, and you said, "Oh, I'm not coming down," and because of the situation that happened in practice. But and then that starts Black Barbie, which would be like an extreme like kind of learning experience for me.
Yeah,
I was young. I was 18 when I joined. Yeah. I was a baby.
You guys went to New York.
We didn't do any touring, which I think is one of the. I think that there are a myriad of reasons why Black Barbie never got any bigger than we did.
Yeah. One
of the factors, I just didn't think we were that good.
Yeah, yeah.
I listen to those songs now, and I'm like, these songs are terrible. Like, I think Joe had 1 album's worth of passable material in them.
Yeah.
And he just never got better at it. I don't want to talk ill of the dead, but I just think it's reality.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The stuff he did after Black Barbie wasn't even anywhere as good as what Black Barbie did. Like he never wanted to progress as a guitar player.
Yeah.
I think Black Barbie just came at a time where he was like, I think Black Barbie happened where he knew nothing but learned a little.
Yeah.
So that interim period where he started Black Barbie when he knew absolutely jack shit, learned just a little bit, enough to write semi-interesting, but we would have never. We weren't even anywhere near as good as any of the bands that they compared us to.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like seeing Nirvana, in the early. No, it wasn't.
Right.
But Black Barbie was good for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it taught me how to be in a band.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got chops because we
definitely
played a lot.
Yeah.
Everywhere. We never toured, but it was like we didn't have to tour because we just played every weekend.
Yeah, yeah. And I talked about that in the interview with Gretchen. Just how like her practice and regiment was really good, and Joe was
that was the thing. Like one of the things is like for all of Black Barbie's kind of like musical faults.
Mm-hmm.
With me, I'd only been playing drums for 3 years.
Yeah.
Joe had only been playing guitar for a year, 2 years. Gretchen had not really been playing anything serious.
Right, right.
We were all green as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
But we practiced like twice a week, and we played like shows. We would play every week, a show every week. Sometimes we played 3 shows a week,
right?
Depending. We would go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
We would play any show. Yeah. It didn't matter. I had no friends.
Yeah.
Like I had no friends at that time.
Yeah.
Like for like a year and a half after you left.
Yeah.
For about a year and a half, I had no friends.
Yeah.
I only hung out with Joe and Gretchen.
Yeah.
Because everything I did was either school, my shitty job, or playing a show or practicing. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And but you know what? For what it's worth, I don't think taking every show I don't think taking every single show is a smart approach.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
But at that time, it worked for us because we built a pretty good following.
There's certain situations I think it's a plus. I think at that time, it was a good thing because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, there was no internet.
So you just wanted to get your shit out there as much as possible.
Yeah, and we would play any show. We'd play hardcore shows.
Yeah.
We'd play metal shows. Yeah. We'd play indie rock shows.
Yeah.
We played in New York with Eves Plum, who were like,
I remember that.
You know, some big indie rock band. We played, becoming friends with the Queers and playing shows with the Queers definitely helped.
Yeah, yeah.
And also doing the Rocket Records thing with the Queers. And you came up and that's when you came up and sang the Nirvana song we covered.
Yeah.
And
I forgot.
Yeah. I think that I swear there's a.
I was like holding a microphone, singing a fucking.
You were,
Nirvana
you
song?
weren't even playing guitar. You were just like.
I hope there's not a video of that.
I thought that there was.
Jesus, I was probably wearing a fucking Stussy hat. Fucking, I probably had a nice goatee.
Oh, you must, yeah. You could have been wearing a Dinosaur Jr. shirt though.
I was probably smoking
or a Beastie
Light.
Boy shirt.
Yeah.
There's like a picture that like Steve Hill took of Black Barbie.
We're all wearing Beastie
I'm wearing
Boy
a Beastie Boy. I'm like,
yeah, I know.
Wear a Beastie Boy shirt. I did.
Yeah, I was wearing a hat and a fucking shirt on stage. I think
I did. I had a Beastie. I mean, I'm not shitting on the Beastie Boys, rip MCA, but I never believed I had one until I saw a picture.
I owned a fucking Luscious Jackson t-shirt and a House of Pain hat. So that was the 90s.
Yeah.
And then Rocket Records, you and I would hang out there.
Well, so what happened? Oh, okay, so yeah. So Black Barbie like imploded, so to speak. It was like we were and we would like we had shows and it just like imploded.
Yeah.
Into like a messy show in Salem, our last show.
Yeah.
And then I start Girl Friday.
Yeah.
With Gretchen and Dan Cohen.
Yeah, yeah.
Who we met when Black Barbie played the Mamakin.
Yeah.
The second time we played the Mamakin in the massive room.
Yeah.
With Wayne Jane County.
Right.
And Dan's band, the Peacocks.
Yeah.
And I'd become friends with Dan.
Yeah.
And we would start Girl Friday, which Girl Friday played like 4 shows.
Yeah.
Over like 2 years.
Right.
Because of Dan going to school and like just Gretchen leaving and not being happy with that whole. She wasn't happy in that band.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then I would start coming into Rocket Records. So we're talking like what, 98?
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah,
and coming into Rocket Records on Saturday mornings and talking to you and hanging out and talking about music, and that's and I think we actually like it took us a while.
Yeah.
Like we would talk about it like, oh, you want to get together and jam?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that you were jamming with Lugnut.
Yeah.
But we would like just, chit chat about like, and also, oh, you know why too? One Less started in 97, and we were sharing the practice space.
Yeah, we were sharing a space.
And you wrote, I owed you money on my snare, on that snare.
Oh, yeah. That was some fucking passive-aggressive thing. Yeah, you owed me rent money, so I took a Sharpie and literally wrote it on your fucking snare drum that you owed me $18 fucking or whatever.
I don't know how, but I remember coming in with like, and we were all like, we thought we were like tough guys, like playing One Less, playing like a hardcore band, like oh, we're tough guys, and in like 1997 when like and then I would go see like Piecemeal, and I'm like, oh, we suck so bad. You see actual hardcore bands and be like, oh, yeah, we're terrible. But then, and then we would like laugh. We'd start, wrote like, then you had like in the wall, there was like a repeater, Fugazi repeater, and you had like a bubble coming out of like Joe Lowley's mouth about like, you owe me or something.
Well, I must have really been short on money that time or something.
I think I may have like destroyed your Honky Ball cassette or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of like, and I would come in and then I would see you at Rocket on Saturday mornings, and but it took us a while, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you were just kind of like, you're like, oh, are you playing it? I wasn't playing it that day. I think Girl Friday imploded. I mean, I was doing the One Less thing, which was like nothing.
Right.
And
our original idea, I remember at the time, was like we were kind of getting to what at the time I think was almost like early emo, like the Promise Ring and
oh, we were heavily, at least
Super Chunk.
I was. I mean, in the late 90s, for me, I would have in the late 90s, other than hip hop.
Yeah.
But in the late 90s, it would have definitely been all about like hot water music.
Yeah.
I was heavily in that Mineral and Braid and Texas is the reason, like that first. I don't want to know if it's first or second wave. I don't even know. I think whatever. First wave's like what, Rites of Spring, Embrace, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Second wave emo, like what I call emo, the Revelation records.
Yeah.
Sense Feel, like
that Elliott record.
U.S. songs and that stuff. But yeah, and I think, and then also I think I remember having conversations with you about, kind of like. I know that like I'm in the minority, at least in Massachusetts and amongst my friends. Like I don't give a shit about the Pixies.
Yeah.
But I think I've said this to you. Like one thing I loved about the Pixies though is that they never said, "Oh, well this is not a Pixies song."
Oh, right. Yeah. Right.
Like they would write songs like "Here Comes Your Man,"
right,
mixed in with songs like UMass.
Yeah. And those like Spanish songs.
Yeah, but then they would play songs like Tame and Planet of Sound. It's just like blistering.
Yeah.
I liked that about them.
Yeah.
I didn't care about their records. I mean, I like them now. Like it would take me years.
Yeah.
And I would hear Doolittle and be like, oh yeah, it's a fucking incredible record. Right. You know what I mean? Or like Surfer Rosa and just be like, holy shit, this is like, it would take years of like growing up, because I'm not a punk kid. Right. I'm not, I didn't grow up on that stuff.
Yeah.
But that always resonated with me. Or even bands like The Cure.
Yeah.
Who you and I have a mutual obsession with.
Yeah.
Think about like The Cure. They have songs like Friday I'm in Love.
Yeah. And then like The Kiss of I listened to that the other day and I was like, what a weird.
Yeah, or like even like, a Forest or like any like Robert Smith wasn't afraid to get really aggressive.
Yeah.
If you even or even in the same album, like look at The Top. Like you have songs like Caterpillar. Right. You have songs like The Top.
Yeah.
Like he would run like he wasn't afraid, and I like that. Like, and one thing I think, one of the issues I had playing in bands before that was that always seemed to be a thing.
Yeah. We can't go out of this.
Can't go out of this thing.
Right.
You know, and I think, so that was my thing with going into like Presley.
Yeah.
Your thing, I think too, you would tell me is that you hated going to shows and because the band would just play the record and you were still like you were like into the Fish and the Dead.
Yeah.
You were like probably culminating to the height.
Yeah. It was sort of right at the height.
The height of that stuff, of Fish, especially.
Yeah.
The height, because one of my earliest memories of hanging out with you is when I went to your house in Swampscott and you showed me your 300 Grateful Dead bootleg cassette tapes, and I like the Dead too. Because my friend Chris had got me into the Dead.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of like at that particular moment were like on the same page. You were a little like, I think you may have been a little tired of the lug nut thing. You were like, I want to do something different. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of like the punk rock or the hardcore. Like, oh, that's not punk enough, or that's not hardcore enough, or that's not heavy enough. Right. And I think like whatever songs we write,
that's the song.
They're the songs that we are going to write, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and those are always the bands I've loved have done that, where they're just like, it doesn't, you know.
Right.
That's great that AC/DC wanted to be a rock band and they played but they did what they took Chuck Berry records and they invented this whole thing. And it all sounds relatively exactly the same. But bands like Rush were on the whole other spectrum of that, where they were just like, we're a rock band and we're not going to have any fucking, you know.
One thing I love about Rush, too, is I think that Rush, I mean, obviously, they're on a different level than I've ever been on. They have fans, you know. But I also think that they were willing to say we trust that our fans are going to get this. But also saying, but we got to follow what we want to do too.
Yeah, exactly.
And if some of our fans, and some didn't after Caress of Steel, like some people were like,
nope.
Ooh,
right.
What is it? You know? Ooh.
And that's kind of what I always wanted to do. Not that like Presley had like, I mean, people.
No, but we did it every record.
Yeah.
Like, and we never really had fans.
Right.
And I think that's one of the problems, especially around here, maybe, is that I think people want a sound that they can latch on to.
Right.
Consistently. We never gave that.
Yeah.
You know, you can only count on one thing with us, and that we'll do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
At any given time.
And like when you were talking earlier about, like when you saw those early Sabbath albums.
Yeah.
And, you know, me, you, and fucking Arnie together when we would practice or play the goofiest fucking people in the world. But I think joking around in the snap, but when it came to the actual band and songs and this and that, it was very serious. I think at least for me, I always wanted to kind of just have a very serious presentation of music.
One thing, like, you know, it's like, okay, so I've always like used Ween for like an example, where Ween are funny, but Ween, I mean, I think we wanted to be serious and I think Ween wants to be funny, but they're serious about what they do. Like, I think that we're not serious. We don't take ourselves seriously. But I'm a serious person. And I don't like to fuck around. I don't like to be sloppy. I don't like to be, you know. But I think also aesthetically, though, we moved towards that, like, especially with like our CDs with the they were very somber, like, or serious covers. Like, they was just empty and spatial, and you know, and we didn't have a lot of humor on stage, which is like, what's that?
That's a CD of our first show we ever played. I found that the other day.
Oh no! Can I talk about the little person?
No.
Don't talk ill about the
Lannister brother, the Tyrion Lannister. Anyway, I'm
gonna spit my Dr. Pepper everywhere.
But I always kind of wanted to have like a serious, but to the point where
I think, like, I mean, Presley, God, like, I think we had so much working for us and so much working against us in that band. Like, I don't like. Part of me, if we were strictly instrumental, we may have even got swept up in that post-rock thing.
Yeah.
Because we weren't very far from that.
I think for anyone that listens, so Breaux and I had a band, and a big part of what we did was improvisation live.
Yeah.
And that was at one point when we rehearsed. That was pretty much all we did was just
we wrote a whole record,
yeah,
kind of based on that. Like we would show up. So yeah, this band Presley, and we were together for like almost 10 years.
Yeah.
We never wanted. Well, one of the things because you had been seeing a lot of Dead and a lot of Fish at that point,
right.
And you were kind of used to this, never seeing the same performance twice,
right.
And
yeah.
I think that kind of like excited you.
Yeah.
But bringing that aesthetic to a little bit more of a indie rock.
Yeah, I don't know that it worked 100% for us.
I mean, I liked it,
yeah.
But I'm not necessarily sure it actually worked.
Yeah.
I think we probably could have, if we were a little bit more written with the instrumental stuff, we would have gotten swept up in that post-rock thing.
Yeah.
That happened like 2 years after we broke up, and everybody got, swept up in that. But I don't think anybody, I don't think booking shows for Presley was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I talked on the Gretchen one about us playing on Elvis Presley's birthday or whatever.
With the rockabilly bands. Yeah. But not even that, but even trying to squeeze us into I guess the only place that ever really welcomed us was that stoner rock or the budgeting kind of stoner rock scene of Boston, because then you'd have bands like the Easter Bloodhounds and Palace and Thunderland and bands that Psycho and Ichabod at that point, where they're
sort of
we weren't really metal,
right?
But we were
metal people, and I think we had that,
and we had a little bit of a Pink Floyd, But I thought we always just sounded like. I always thought we sounded like Neil Young.
Yeah.
Meets I don't know, because all your songs, you just write Neil Young, you basically bury Neil Young chord progressions over tons of reverb, but at its core,
right,
your songs are just simple, just very simple, 4-chord songs. They a lot of it's very reminiscent of that kind of middle, that Neil Young Crazy Horse, Zuma and stuff like that, which is kind of just simple.
Ragged Glory was one of that later 90s one, was a big influence.
Yeah. And I don't think people picked up on that.
Yeah.
This kind of the simplicity of, and I also think that those people had no tolerance for improvisation.
So there was shows I remember when we would say, so we probably wrote over our existence 30, 40 songs or whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows, probably.
Yeah.
But when we wanted to improvise, so every show we really only could get to 3 songs, because we would chain them together. Sometimes we'd segue into one song into another one. But I remember there was
one song. Didn't we do a show when we didn't play a song at all?
Yeah, we did 2 of those, I think, where we just before we were. So I think if I was at a show like that, depending on how high I was, or I don't know,
Then it's so funny, because then your brother talks about seeing us at the Elks.
Yeah.
When we played at the Elks with Today Is the Day, and he was that one particular performance, your brother was that was one of my favorite performances of all time. And that's, I think we knew that kind of going into it, though. We're when you do that kind of work, when you do, talk to any jazz guys, to, you're going to have, sometimes you're on, and when we were on, we were on. I think fun, when we were off, we were really off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But I don't, but we did the thing. But I don't know. I never, other than when we talked about earlier, when we were eating lunch.
Yeah.
About after writing The Mansion.
Yeah.
And kind of just exhausting. It took 10 years though.
Yeah.
Even throughout the fact that it took us 5 years to even get shows that anybody cared about.
Yeah. We didn't even play our first show until almost like a year and a half after we started. We wrote like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think we kind of canned it and redid them. And
yeah. And it took me it took us 10 years to kind of get to a place where we couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like I needed to do something different. Yeah. And which is like the longest band I've ever been in. And, and I still say this to this day. Presley was the only band I've ever been in that I was playing what I wanted to play when I was playing.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm in Z28, and I love Z28.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about fucking rock music.
Yeah. You like Boston, don't you?
I love Boston. No, but I don't give a shit about rock music.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're not a rock guy.
I'm not a rock guy. I love AC/DC. I love Motorhead, but playing rock music?
Yeah.
I like playing with Z28, but I'm a drummer, so I'll go wherever who needs a drummer.
Yeah.
You know? And I'll do what I do, and that's it. But Presley was like, because it was Presley was you and I.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was never, like, I could do anything I wanted in Presley, like, drum-wise.
Yeah.
Like, you were never, like, don't do that. Like,
yeah. And that's what, and I think after Presley, seeing you in different bands and Arnie in different bands, just seeing, like, you know, when I met these kids, when they started playing to where they're at now musically,
right?
I like to think that our just all of that improv and just practice like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you
Definitely
talked about this with Gretchen, and
Yeah.
even Presley was the same way. I think about this now. We practice twice a week.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to practice twice a week now. I don't even want to practice one. Arnie's the same way. Like, Arnie's like, I don't ever want to practice. Like, you know.
Then though, I think part of that too was also like it was almost like twice a week to hang. Because I remember sort of towards the end of that band, we were probably hanging out and just shooting the shit more than we were
we were playing. Yeah. But yeah, we would. But we practice a lot, and you talked about that with Gretchen. Was kind of like, and I've always had that. Like, I think a lot of people that there is a work component. To playing in bands.
Yeah. You have to.
I never want to be sloppy. I don't want to be sloppy.
Yeah, I don't want to see a band that's sloppy.
No. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I even go. I listen to a lot of jazz. You listen to a lot of jazz. Like, I listen to a lot of jazz, and even if you're doing improv, it doesn't have to be sloppy. Like, there's I've seen tons of jazz. You've seen tons of jazz. You've seen tons of improv shows where it's tighter than anything that's ever seen that's written. You know, I don't know why that there's like this mindset in rock music where it's okay to be sloppy.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
people think that people look at that as sort of a badge of like coolness. There's a nice thing to have maybe sort of a looseness to a band, but
looseness and sloppy. Like, I think these people don't know what words.
I think they get them confused.
You know, because I see a lot of now. You know what I mean? Because I play a lot of rock shows now. The shows. I mean, 90% of the shows I play, I probably would never go to.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't playing them,
right?
Even though I've made some good friends, you know,
Yeah.
I like a lot of
Yeah.
And but I'm just not into I just don't care about rock music.
Yeah.
In a way that like people do.
Yeah.
You know, I love AC/DC, but
right.
You know. I don't care about your band that sounds like AC/DC.
I know there's a lot of them. So we're getting.
Yeah, what are we looking?
We're over an hour.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So you're in a band.
I'm in a band called Z28, which features Jeff from Mourn and Grief and Disrupt. On guitar.
Yeah.
Jay, who used to be in Hoof.
Yeah.
When Presley was playing on bass.
Yep.
And we do kind of 70s. In 80s, kind of rock, what does Jeff call it? Like heavy metal rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, his influences, which are the bulk of this sound we have, is Deep Purple.
Right.
Oh. Did it turn off?
No. Yeah, we're still going. Sorry.
All good. Deep Purple.
Yep.
Grand Funk Railroad, but Priest.
Yeah.
Maiden, AC/DC.
Yeah.
You know, those are like, and some St. Vitus in there, because Jeff loves Vitus.
Yeah.
And I don't think and since he was the primary songwriter of Grief, I don't think he won't ever escape that. That will always be there.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's fun. It's good. Having Jeff in the band doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
What I mean? He knows people, and
yeah.
we're just we're just plugging away, and every show gets better. I think 1-2 people trickle in every time. You know what I mean? And
you guys have any coming up?
Yeah, we have a show on September 30th at Kodo.
December.
In Salem. December 30th.
Yeah,
sorry,
nice.
December 30th, Saturday in at Kodo in Salem. That's the only show we have this year left.
Yeah. Nice.
And we have a full length that's in mixing right now.
Nice.
And which should be out sometime next year. And we're on, and you can Presley stuff. You can go on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Is it Presley? Presley the band?
Yeah. Presley. I think it's just Presley actually.
You go to Bandcamp, search Presley, and you can listen to Christian and I's output. Z28 is on Bandcamp. We're on iTunes. We're on Amazon. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify.
Yeah.
You could Z28. I don't think there's a dash on those things, so it's just Z28.
Yeah.
But if you put it, you'll see it. There'll be a picture of a car or something, and that's the band. And
nice.
We have an EP and a single, so 4 songs right now.
Cool.
And
Nice.
that's it.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. In the lake house. I like this place.
Yeah. This is the 3rd one I've done in the lake house. So yeah, I'm hoping more.
The lake
people
house. Yeah. I like these podcasts.
these.
You do good, dude. You got a good thing.
Thanks, man.
I've listened to every one,
Awesome.
and they're all within very small degrees of each other. They're all really good.
Thanks, man. You're actually on every single one too, because that's
the Gretchen. Gretchen one.
Well, no, I just mean the music at the beginning is.
The Presley's music. Yeah, it was funny. The Gretchen one. I was like, wow, I'm talked about more on the Gretchen one than Gretchen is.
I know, right?
I was like, thanks for saying something, man.
But yeah, so the drum roll you hear at the beginning of the podcast when I go out of my intro is Breaux, and then our song Vodka and Orange Juice, which was
it's an Austin record, right?
Yeah. We recorded with Steve Austin.
Nice.
Days a Day.
Presley stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Christian.
Thanks, man.